The Road Freight Association saying that it's concerned about that situation at Beitbridge. The border post is heavily congested, with drivers spending days waiting to cross into South Africa and Zimbabwe. Now, it's due to an apparent electric system problem on the Zimbabwean side. Now, the association is saying no clear answers have been given, and this is affecting the movement of goods between the two countries. Road Freight Association CEO Gavin Kelly joins me now to speak more about the implications of that congestion. I mean, Gavin, you've seen the visuals we've been running over the last few days. In fact, we started running with the story last week, Saturday, and the situation has only gotten worse. For your members, how dire is the situation?
Good evening, and good evening to your viewers. And obviously, somebody doesn't want to sit at a border for a number of days or even a week. This is just not acceptable. The good news is that there has been a fair amount of progress over the last 48 hours. We've heard that the queues on the Zimbabwe side have cleared, which is a good thing. And how they cleared those queues, well, what they've done is they've brought into operation an old lane that was operating before this new system was brought in place, so allowing vehicles to flow. They've dropped a couple of the requirements in the meantime to make sure these vehicles flow. On the South African side, it was looking a lot better by the middle of today and probably has weaned down that queue, but there is still a queue. The real question that needs to be answered is, why is it that every time when we improve the processes at the border, it seems to get worse before it gets better? These are supposed to be electronic processes. They're supposed to be based on having everything sorted out before you get to that border, so that really it's just a green lane travel through and you don't spend days at the border.
Yeah, I mean, as an association, surely you've engaged the departments that are involved in the different elements, so the Department of Transport, Home Affairs, in terms of making those systems more efficient and sustaining those systems. What have those engagements sounded like?
Well, the engagements have been very fruitful. I must say that SARS Customs, the South African Revenue Authority, has really played its part in trying to resolve a major number of these challenges, and they've been on board modernizing the processes and getting smart borders into operation for almost a decade with us now. The problem really is that, whether we like it or not, a border post is where two separate sovereign countries touch one another and where people have to move between those two countries, and the systems don't always talk to one another. There is a lot of pressure now to try and get our neighboring countries to work on a system in terms of the World Trade Organization, and I know they're moving towards that, and we need to understand there will be some challenges. But hopefully what we've seen at Beitbridge in the last week, and it's not only Beitbridge, Limbombo is just as much as a problem. Hopefully the suggestions that we put forward in the proposals and the changes that are now happening are going to actually make it easier to cross borders, that we don't have these sort of repetitions.
Right. A final thought from you, Gavin. Obviously, it's got major economic implications, not just for the broader South African economy, but for businesses who have goods going off while they are in the queues, and just other costs that they incur while they wait for their goods to cross the borders.
Yes, well, there's really three parties that are involved from a financial point of view when the vehicles can't cross the border. The first party that's involved is obviously the driver, because the driver really hasn't planned, and it's through no fault of his or hers that he or she now stands at this border for more than a couple of hours, as might have been the case, up to a couple of days or even a week. So the first effect is on the driver. The driver didn't buy food or hasn't got food or hasn't got access to sanitation, and generally ends up paying a lot more for this because there are those who are going to take advantage of this. So that's the first thing. And then, of course, the driver's not getting home to his or her family and can't do whatever other trip needs to be done, take those rest periods, because you're in your truck all the time. It's not easy to take a rest. You would have seen reports about violence and criminality against the trucks. Then secondly, obviously, the operator, he or she is wishing to get that truck to the other side, to offload the cargo, to load the next cargo and come back. You would want to use that truck as often, as safely as possible to move cargo between the two countries so that you can generate revenue. And then the real economic impact is for the consumers and those people who've ordered the goods. And sometimes those goods destroy. So if they are perishable goods or goods that can't take heat or a lot of vibration, they might destroy. So by the time the goods get to where they should be going, they're already destroyed. And that's that business owner or retailer or manufacturer of goods who loses out. So there's a number of people in that chain, from the driver to the consumer and the goods owners, who really can lose out quite heavily.
Yeah, Gavin Kelly, a very bleak picture that you painted there in your last response. But it's good to hear that over the last few hours there have been some improvements that are starting to happen at the Beitbridge border. He's from the Road Freight Association, giving us an update on the economic implications of what's happening there.